You might have just found your higher calling. And you'll know this because you'll start to notice that you can't be touched. And it really just goes back to you being at a higher plane of existence because you are in your higher calling. But you can't be touched. You can't be touched. If it is, it's only by consent because you're past all that other stuff. As long as you don't engage in something you don't want to engage in, you won't be engaged in it. Even if you were to get, sent to jail or something like that, you're going to be out immediately. Something's going to happen. It's going to let them know that you got to go. And, you know, Masons, skulls, secret society members and stuff like that that work the judicial system. Now, this judicial system is an outdated system in that it is for hurting the animalistic nature of the masses. But a being in their divine essence will seem to ride on through. It's just remember to stay in your higher calling because once you start exhuming fear, you give them a fuel to go off of, something to target. That whole system is designed from the African slave trade. The whole thing was built to direct and move people with fear and humiliation. You can't be touched if you're not afraid. But as long as you're not afraid, you can't be touched. You really can't be. Because everything now, as a creator, at this higher plane that you're arriving at, you have to have and maintain your free will. You can't be touched without consent. Nobody can touch you. Now, we hear about police shootings and stuff like that, but the police aren't supposed to touch you. Even the police shootings, people complain about the amount of time some of them get, they still get in trouble. Nobody can touch you. Nobody can make you do something you don't want to do. Nobody. You have to give consent to it. But see, a lot of people get caught up in the matrix and the ideologies that was placed before them. They never looked elsewhere at other options. So by the time they're an adult, this is the only way of being. They'll look at it like the court systems or the judges or the presidents have more power than everything else. Like it is the top of the conscious hierarchy, and that's just not the case. The conscious, living, breathing universe, Allah, Yahweh, whatever you want to call it, is the highest form of conscious that we're well aware of. Now, the court systems do know that as humans, we do have a divine nature to us. They are well aware of that. At some of these secret societies, you see them doing things like this or even like this, but your hands have electromagnetic energy flowing through them. Placing your hands in different placements releases different frequencies of energy into the air. Your hands are very sensitive when it comes to the electromagnetic spectrum. This is literally what we use to feel using electricity to our fingers. So when we are channeling that energy through our hands in meditation and in thought, that energy is being projected out into the world. And they do have an understanding of a universal being when one comes across. At least in theory, it seems. Because they know that there's going to be issues with the Most High if they get in the way of the goal, the calling, the purpose of that chosen being. And like I said, as it being a leftover from the slavery system in today's world, where some people don't really support the slave system, that are still working at a government official office. So it causes situations where loopholes can form that higher conscious beings can seem to slip through. Maybe the judge happened to call in sick that day, or maybe the paperwork got lost for this person on this day. Whatever the case may be, they're going to get through. The Most High is at work. And they do understand with the split going on, there's the higher dimensional beings and the lower dimensional beings. The higher dimensional beings are going to go to the higher realm. They're going to be more sovereign beings, more self-sufficient, and more able to govern and watch over themselves. They're in a state of higher consciousness. They're in a state of more joy, more love, more acceptance, more authenticity. The lower state consciousness are going to be in states of fear, anger, revenge, and hatred. They're going to be more likely to keep a grudge. They're going to be less forgiving, and they're going to be more persistent in the pursuit of just ruining somebody's day. So, higher beings that are aligning with these higher frequencies really shouldn't have to worry that much, especially if they have a task to do. Things will flow the way they are supposed to flow for you as long as you're within the realm, within the direction of the Most High's callings. I myself am still learning how to decipher and understand things better. I think I have been making a lot of progress compared to where I was. And any conscious being that can transcend the physical reality probably has a good idea and or understanding of the mistakes you may or may not make anyway. It was all part of a bigger plan. Because sometimes the mistakes you make are only there to give you the lessons you're going to learn tomorrow. And one more important thing to remember is there really isn't a good and bad. Nothing's inherently wrong or right. The way people use things are, right? You could see it like a weapon could be something bad unless used to defend oneself. Now, in this higher being, in this higher state of conscious, things like that are less likely to be needed anyway. But to each his own. Sometimes when you have a problem that you think is a problem, you are not applying it in a way where it could be a solution. Because sometimes the thing that you think you're not supposed to do is actually the thing that's driving you through a particular phase in your evolution. Because if it was inherently that bad, it wouldn't exist. Yeah, so if this popped up on your page, you're probably heading for the right direction. Um, so this, I guess, in a way, is just a way to go over the new version of reality we are trying to strive towards. It would be a shift towards more community based political systems for more sovereignty on an individual level, while the larger legal systems, they might not fully, actually just fall apart or anything like that. They would be focused more how to assist its population and handling outside affairs. See, like me as a citizen, I cannot talk to people in China. That is what they do. That is what these people do. The higher ups. Situations that happen a couple blocks away. They really don't have a need to be putting an input in when they're never around to see what it's like anyway, to have proper discernment. That's best handled to the communities. But eventually, it would push for government enterprises wanted to stay together afloat, that they would stop taxing and have an industry created for the governments to make money as to not tax its citizens. And just maintaining an order of growth in all directions. It would be focused more on a positive and healthy infrastructure and universal alignment more than establishing and enforcing policy rules and spending. It's more acceptable to embrace being yourself in the public eye. Yeah, you could still sometimes be mad or upset or embarrassed, but there's no reason to dwell on it, as there's not really a lot of fear of people holding things like that against you. And even if they are, it's usually taken more as a joke than as an insult. That is your higher calling. If you're living a world heading towards this direction, you found your higher calling. What are you doing in the moments where the world is heading that way? What happened prior to you clicking on this video? It may be tied into your higher calling.